Hey everybody, I'm Brandon and you're watching ADHD Game Dev Channel. The ADHD Game Dev Channel from Fold Up Games, that's my label. Project that I'm working on is called Codename Tiny. You are playing, let's show stuff on screen. That's what you don't want to look at my face. You can look at my face in the corner. Codename Tiny, you play as a 2-inch tall forest sprite. And you're in the great big world out here is the idea of the game. And what I'm doing right now is gathering up my assets and getting my ducks in a row and figuring out best practices and process flows and learning Godot along the way by goofing some stuff up. So over here in Blender Land, I do love me some Blender Land, I tell you that. Over here in Blender Land, I have been working on these assets, which were part of a purchased asset set that I got, which was good. I got that. This is the the Unreal assets, but I had the FBXs and I needed to hook back up all the colors and bump maps and things, which translates over nicely into Godot. So that's cool. Mushrooms, they're fun. They have one single central texture for all the mushrooms, so that's nice. I might take this guy and there you are. I might take this guy and repaint him to be blue. Haven't decided yet because we already have this nice little fungus there. But the other thing that's fun is that if you add that -col at the end, when you bring them into Godot, it already knows that it wants to have a collision mask, and that's just delightful. So anyway, that's kind of cool. So we got those in here, and I worked on those guys in such a way that I wound up adding in a material for each one of them because previously I was working on the standard materials the way that they would import out of Blender, and they would have 3 different images that go on there. So every time I export it, they would have 3 different images over and over and over for, you know, the albedo, the color, the normal roughness map, all these things over and over. So we didn't want that. So what I did was I created a central material and applied that to each one of them. I will show you that if I can. Yeah, there we go. So here's the mushroom texture that I created, and I just added each of these, the color, the normal, and the roughness to each one, because otherwise each one of those mushrooms will bring in their own material over and over. And I talked about this in the previous video if you were watching me do that. And what you do is you say use an external texture for it enabled, and I'll tell it to go. I'll just browse to that file and get the texture that I created, that material. I don't know, I get my words wrong. Material is probably the right word. The material to be used there that I built out, and that gives me some fun flexibility over here in Godot to be able to make changes. So I don't just take the GLB file out of Blender. I actually set it up again here, and that's good because I can then amp up, you know, like the normal map, for example, if I wanted to really kick it up or something like that. Okay, that's good. I made my own little moss texture object. It's actually an object, and brought that in so I can repeat that. You'll see that repeated here and here. It's pretty good. It looks a little hot. I think my lights are a little hot in the game. You'll notice the character looks really white whenever he's running around. So, but that looks good. So I'm getting assets together. I like these assets. The other thing that I did that was good is that I did get Terrain 3D add-on working. This is the reason this is good is because I can go in here and just paint stuff. Okay, we can just change the terrain like that. So previously what I was doing was importing a mesh out of Blender. So I do love Blender, but doing it this way lets me, as you can see, you know, just come right in here and make changes directly. So if I decide I need to raise or lower terrain, I can do it right here. Now, the one problem that has given me is that I don't have the ability to use the Simple Grass add-on that I've been using. Love the grass add-on, and as we can see in the game, until I get that grass sorted out, is definitely missing something. The weird thing is that I figured out the grass would work if I took it and painted it onto an object. Like I could take the grass and paint it onto that tree, the tree, the stump, that rock, whatever. But I cannot paint it onto the terrain. So I think that's because of the way the add-ons work, that this is not, I guess this is not a baked mesh, like, you know, the rock would be a mesh. and this is not, so they function a little bit differently. But, as you can see, the terrain can go out there as far as I want it to go. So that makes me think about the way in which I might create levels. Okay. Whoop. We're seeing inside. I don't want the camera to do that. This is what I meant about importing with the -col. This already understands that it should have a collision mask associated with it. Funny issues with development, huh? Boop. Okay, so that's all working. The reason I wanted to do it this way is because I kind of have a hard time envisioning how in the world is supposed to come together. When I was doing, if you watch any posts, community posts, I post there pretty frequently. I also have a Discord channel if you want to keep up with things. But yeah, this was a zone. I was trying to figure out how in the world can you conceptualize the flow of the game. And I think what this really ended up being at the end of the day is more of a map concept. Instead of something I would actually be able to build on top of, it's more of a map. So, I would imagine you start out at your home in a hollow tree log. You would come across something, and then you can choose to go to the right, but you can't because there's a wall, but you can go to the left. Anyway, so this is more of charting out stuff just to get my head around what this space looks like in 3D. But this was a somewhat useful exercise. But after I got the Terrain 3D add-on and was able to get in here and start painting, that got me to thinking, nothing would stop me from just going ahead and recreating all of that flow and that work by just painting the terrain in here and adding in the assets directly into that world and being able to work within one unified space. So this game is not supposed to be open world. It was supposed to be, think of it as more of an overview of the overworld, and everything connects together. And you go into a zone, like this would be a zone that you would go and play in. But if it's possible and nothing breaks, I guess I could figure out a way just to keep them all connected. And if I did that, that would make it open world, wouldn't it? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm making stuff up as I go along. So anyway, future of the project is that I'm going to continue having fun with it, and we'll see where it goes. If all I do is goof around and go, well, that was neat, then I think that was successful. I do have a whole plan of a whole story and a plot and different flow of different things that you'll do and gather, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. For right now, I do have the next thing I need to overcome is getting the grass back in, because I was working on adding in grass, and I can do it. I added in the same model as the simple grass as a scene. Look at that. I'm learning things in Godot, aren't I? I added it in as a scene with just a plane, so that it could be used by the terrain in its foliage system. Okay. Well, let's go to the game. Okay, that's fine-ish. It's fine-ish. I don't know. I broke something, or it broke. You can see kind of the grass. It's just got holes in it, and it's just not really what I need it to be. On the other hand, when we paint using the Simple Grass add-on, I really enjoy that, and it worked quite well. You can see if I add it in, it's so easy. It's so easy. I can add in the Simple Grass to draw, but it does not draw on this terrain. So I don't know. It'll draw here. So we can do, for example, I'll show you real quick. We'll make it. This is how we're making video games. If I get this little highlight circle here about where I can draw on the rock like that. Okay. Isn't that nifty? I could draw on the log too. I can't draw onto this terrain though, so that's the problem. So all the other objects that I brought in are working fine. Let's go compare the two. I'm going to jump back into the world, and we'll wrap it up in just a second if you're bored of hearing me talk. If you're not bored of hearing me talk, I appreciate you being here anyway, and I appreciate you subscribing and the likes and the comments. If you have any questions, ask them here in chat, or jump on the Discord if you would like to see some more about this game. But let's run down there. So we can see here's the grass that I just painted using the Terrain 3D's add-on. And you can see up at the top of it, it's got some glitches. It's got some glitches I need to fix. And there's no sway or anything to it out of the box. And it's got, I don't know, it's got some issues, as you can see. Now let's go down and take a look at it, what it looks like just out of the Simple Grass add-on. Yeah, by default, it's actually pretty cool. It looks a lot nicer. Yeah, I mean, that was just me just quick, draw on there. It's a good add-on, and I do like it. So anyway, we can also amp that up even higher. I thought the density was a little high. But you can see what I mean. You can just so easily make giant grass, and it's so flexible. So I would prefer to work with that add-on instead of the way that the terrain tool is working. So we'll see. That's the next thing for me to figure out. I keep saying I don't know what I'm doing here, and I'm bumbling my way through, but I am starting to learn, and I am getting a little bit better at it. So I think that bodes well for me being able to continue making things in Godot. So I'm having fun, and we will talk in the future, by the way, if you want to, about Game Maker versus Godot and why I got out of Game Maker and into Godot. I think it kind of speaks for itself, though. But anyway, I thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I hope that you will be awesome today. Bye now.